Hey, I'm Nashi.
I'm Rezlar.
And I'm Frosty. Welcome back to the Value Pack.
Hold on, I have to gear check Nash right now. Alright, that is some bull jabber. Dude, he CC'd me how to dance. What's happening? Rezlar!
People look at you like you're crazy, and they refuse to admit that it's pay to win, and just scream that it's pay to convenience! It's pay to convenience!
Big money, big money, big money,
Big money! Oh shit, we got it! We fucking got it! And welcome everybody to another episode of the Value Pack. If you're watching the video, things may look a little weird. This is because Frosty is not here today. Frosty is feeling under the weather. He's not feeling too good. So he is taking a break today, which means today you get the glory that is the Rezlar and Nyashi show.
I heard honestly, he had family over and he had one glass of wine and that pretty much did him in, you know?
Yeah, one glass of wine. Honestly, you know what? I think this is I think this is good. I think this is gonna give everyone a new appreciation for what Frosty does on this show.
That's probably true. It's gonna be the Rezlar and Nashi scuffed episode.
Yeah, dude.
Bear with us here.
So before we get into this train wreck of an episode, of course, as always, got to thank our patrons, Garmoth.com, Hawaiian, I Has Issues, Jeremy Johnson, Calahad, Melt on Your Mouth, Minaria, Slytech, Talus X Septum, Thanks, and Wavesy. We appreciate you guys and everyone else who supports us on Patreon and everybody who supports us on our Twitch channels. You guys are the real ones. Oh, I gotta turn those off. Oh no, see, this is already going awful. I forgot to turn off alerts.
Oh no.
Hold on. Okay, alerts are turned off. Thank you for the follow. Thank you to everybody who follows while I have them turned off. Okay, so we got some stuff to talk about this week.
Not too much, but there is some pretty interesting stuff that's happening.
Yeah, so we have a pretty huge global lab patch. So let me bring this up on screen. So almost everything in here is at least mildly interesting. So I'm just going to kind of go down it, I think, is the plan, what I plan to do. So first at the very top, we have the weight of the following healing potions have been reduced by 50%, and that is your HP pots and your mana pots. So that's something that they talked about in the dev note last week, if I remember correctly, right, Nashi?
Yeah. Yeah, they did mention it very briefly and vaguely on what they were going to do. Yeah,
so that's really cool, actually. I think Frosty mentioned like last week that HP pools are so much bigger now that the pot weight is kind of out of date, which it totally is. So this is a really nice change that will allow us plebs that don't have the infinite pot to, have more potions, which is nice.
Thank God. So now I can carry 1,000 potions for all the fucking chip damage I'm gonna be taking.
Yeah, so that's really good. The cooldown of the following items has been reduced from 20 minutes to 10 seconds, and that is Perfume, Elixir of Deep Sea, Cox Elixir, Spirit Perfume Elixir, Perfume of Swiftness, and then it has a Layering Fragrance. I don't know what a Layering Fragrance is, but that's all of your like specialty elixirs, your perfumes and your calcs and all that stuff. So that stuff's getting changed.
Isn't that for the New Regions elixir?
I have no idea, in all honesty. I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
It might be Odraxia's. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, you think that might be like a mistranslation? You're saying of like some
might be.
Shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Because isn't there like
there's the one with the special attack evasion?
Yeah, isn't there like an armor, like an elixir of armor or something that's like a special elixir or whatever? Maybe that's what it is.
Something like that.
But anyway, so these are going to be reduced from 20, the cooldowns are reduced from 20 minutes to 10 seconds, which means you're going to be blowing through a lot more of them if you're popping these in like wars or sieges. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a good change, personally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so it's going to be interesting with how that's going to work. So recently they did the changes where people are going to be getting more money for Siege. That's going to be happening for the first time this Saturday. But now when this comes in, this change, since you can pop a Perfume of Courage every 10 seconds, I mean, you're basically going to want to be using it as much as you can, right?
Yeah.
but it's gonna get expensive really fucking fast.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. So I think what a lot of people are probably going to do, except for the super tryhards, a lot of people will probably just pop it whenever there's like a big push type scenario, and that's it. They won't just have it on all the time. At least that's probably what I'm going to be doing, because yeah, that's way too much money. And the 150 mil for like if you're losing a node war and whatnot, or not a node war, but a siege and whatnot, that is not going to cover it. So
What the hell was that?
my cat and dog are trying to murder each other.
Also in the blue text here, they talk about the cooldown of food. They say that people have been asking if they can reduce the cooldown of food. They say that, let me just read it. Food has an additional effect of acquiring health experience when consumed, so it's difficult to reduce the reuse time right away. We are currently looking for ways to supplement it, and we will inform you the improvements through Black Desert Research Center as soon as possible. So they're thinking about reducing the cooldown on foods as well, but it's a little more complicated because it gives you health experience. So they don't want you just like spamming foods to get your health experience really high, I guess, essentially.
Yeah.
Summer graduation, summer season, early graduation starts on the 11th. They just kind of tell you what you're gonna have to do. You get the box of memories, which gives you a whole bunch of different things. You get a graduation cap, cron stones, advice of Alex, all kinds of different things. I think you... Yeah, so it looks like you only have to be level 20, I guess. Under requirements. It says you only have to be level 20, which is interesting.
Really?
One season.
That doesn't seem right.
Hold on, let me actually... I mean, that's what it says down there. Graduation requirement, adventures and operations.
That's
Okay.
It's gonna sound wonderful on the podcast.
So you have to complete the season pass, is what it is. The requirement to be level 20 is for a specific quest, the seasonal special gift. So you just have to complete the pass, which isn't that bad. But if you haven't done it yet, there might be a problem with finding people for the group spots. But if you wait until like everyone else is trying to graduate, which is like at the end of the season, it'd probably be pretty easy to find people that are like have been putting it off or whatever, you know?
True.
So yeah, you just have to do the pass, it looks like. So that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. I definitely need to jump on that personally, because the necklace reward is going to be essential for me to try to roll my dice on that pen ogre attempt, you know?
The reward for this season is a Pen Kaposha necklace. It has the same stats as a Tet ogre, 30 AP and 20 accuracy. I think you can take the other rewards, but right, why would you? Pretty much everybody's going to take Pen Kaposha necklace. You expect ogre and latent prices to just absolutely dive on August 11th. They probably are already just dying. In fact, let me check. I'm curious.
I'm actually interested to see.
Let's go. Ogre. Tet ogre. Oh, yeah. Look at that dip.
Jesus.
Yeah. So expect this to go. You're probably going to be able to buy. You're probably going to be able to buy a Tet ogre for like 4 bill.
That
honestly.
dip on Leighton, oh my god.
Holy shit, bro.
That's not surprising though, honestly. I mean, the same kind of thing happened with the crescent rings.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to think about an item that is notoriously around like nowadays roughly 10 bill. 8 to 10 bill is now dropping all the way down to like 5s and possibly even lower once the graduation.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get it might get down to 4 bill and then it'll bounce back up a
if it
little
gets
bit.
To 4 bill, I might have to just
it's gonna get down probably to like 4.5. I don't know.
This might be the only chance I get to grind out like 18 or 16 bill or something like that and just like buy like a few of them and try to go for it.
Because like the whole server is gonna sell their Tet ogre.
Oh yeah,
you know
and they're gonna be sitting too.
Yeah, they're gonna be sitting exactly. Like It's gonna be crazy. So yeah, if you have a bunch of money saved up and you need a pin ogre, wait until August 11th when everyone graduates, and then you'll be able to buy all the Ted ogres you want for, I mean, at least $5 because that's where it's at right now. So,
Yeah.
good God. Let's see.
Yeah, it's
This is
pretty insane.
all Tuvala changes.
God, what is that? What is that going to do for the ogre price? Let's see what ogre's at right now.
Unlike
At
last season, this
10.
season we have changed the quest for graduation to be simpler, but adventurers should note that the item Fugar Stopwatch must be used and not in possession. So you have to use Fugar Stopwatch, it seems like, to graduate, which is interesting. For anyone who doesn't know, Fugar Stopwatch essentially transfers your seasonal character status to another character. The best way to use it, if you don't really care that much about how you're using it, is to just use it on a low level character to get it up to level 61 so that you can have 2 characters at level 61, which will help with your family fame.
Yeah.
It transfers, it doesn't transfer, it copies. Transfer implies that your original character will lose its stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually transfer it just copies it. So if you have your current seasonal character at level 61 with 1400 skill points, you use Fugar Stopwatch, then whatever character you use it on will also be level 61 with 1400 skill points, is how it works. So, next we have
Yes.
Campsite QOL. What are you saying?
No, I was just going to say it's a really useful thing for, newer players that are trying to try out a few different classes and want to level them up really easily. It's something that you can use to definitely achieve that goal. Have a couple different high level characters rather than just one.
Very neat. And also, which I think we were going to talk about this a little bit later, but there's a 3v3 season character tournament. And what's neat about the stopwatch is if you wanted to, you could make a character that is your main class and then use Fugar stopwatch on that character to transfer the seasonal status to it. And then you could do the tournament on your main class, which is now a seasonal character, which is nice.
Yeah, no, it's really convenient for that situation, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really good addition to the season, the stopwatch. So Campsite QOL, I think this is basically just saying that yeah, it's easier to install it. So you don't have to pay as much attention to height and slope. It says so yeah, that'll be really nice because sometimes it can be a real pain in the ass to place your tent.
That is such a big change. Like, it sounds so small, but like the convenience factor is just beyond huge. And then on top of that, the recent change that they did where basically you don't just automatically start sitting in your fucking tent.
If you accidentally hit R. Yeah, so now you can hit R on your tent. This is in the live version of the game. If you hit R in your tent now, it doesn't make you go sit in the little bench. It just opens the menu, which is nice.
Yeah, that's so
they
nice.
also changed the repair UI to not automatically close whenever you're hit by something, which is also super nice. So, good changes, really good QOL changes. There's hedges and natural grass in manors. Nashi, I know you were really excited about this.
Hell yeah, as a homeowner that has to do his grass, I appreciate this, No, they added just new furniture and aesthetic related stuff to the manors with like the grass, trees, and other types of plants, furniture, and I think there's a couple other things as well.
I hope you can. I really do actually hope that you can do really creative stuff with the manor. I don't know how much like creativity and how like big of an area you're going to be able to get and edit and all that stuff because I haven't really given a shit about manors. But with stuff like this, like I could see people making like mazes and stuff out of like these big hedges and stuff. And it's like it's completely pointless. Like there's no reason for it, but it's fun and like that's the point of any game.
Yeah, and they have some might think it's expensive, but it has a little bit of a price tag to some of these items.
Yeah.
Like some of the main hedges and whatnot are relatively cheap, but then you start getting into like the natural grass squares and the unique designs. They start jumping up to like 12 mil, 16 mil.
16 mil for the square natural grass 4x4, dude.
Yeah, and then the furniture is also like relatively high.
Yeah.
The lowest being like 4 mil, and then as high as like 15 mil. And then some of the other more unique furnitures, which is like basically instruments. Those are like 20, 30 mil. It's interesting. It's definitely an investment for sure.
You can buy a tree for 3 mil.
Yeah.
They also the estimated time required for the manor item that can be crafted in step 5 of the furniture workshop has been reduced, and they brought everything down from these absolutely ridiculous times of like 2,880 minutes, 4,320 minutes. They brought it all down to
Jesus.
way more reasonable times, like 120 seems to be the most.
How many hours is that? Hold on.
4,320.
48 hours, so 2 days for one thing.
2 days to craft something. Yeah, that's a little crazy.
That's pretty crazy, yeah.
So now that's down to 2 hours at the most. Most commonly, it seems to be like around 90 minutes is probably like the average.
That's what I'm seeing as
Items
well.
that can be placed in the manor and how to obtain material items have been relaxed as follows. So it seems like a bunch of different things. They made it easier to get decorations for your manor. I'm not going to read through all of this because 1, it's a lot of text, and 2, I don't care. But that seems neat. Let people decorate their manor easily. That sounds cool. Let's see. This is just more manor. There's a lot of manor changes. If you are a
Yeah.
person interested in manors, I suggest reading through that because it's a lot of changes. Alright, item drop scroll on off function. This is fucking huge. You can now, when using the item drop increase scroll, you can turn it on/off through the icon displayed at the top of the screen. However, the cooldown time of 5 minutes is applied. The maximum charge can be up to 10 hours, and when using the advanced item acquisition effect, the charge time is reduced by 2 times.
So this is awesome.
Yeah, this is essentially the change that they talked about before where they said they were going to turn it into Agris. They didn't turn it into Agris, but this is an Agris-like system where it's not points like Agris is, so it's not per mob, which is what they originally said they were thinking about doing.
Yeah.
But what it means is that you can store up to 10 hours of drop rate effect using your scrolls. And then you can just turn it on and off at whim with a cooldown of 5 minutes,
Yeah.
which is super nice.
Yeah, so in the scenarios that people constantly talk about when dealing with loot scrolls and griefers, they aren't able to just turn off their loot scrolls for obvious reasons. And the current state of the game, it just goes for the full hour, or if you broke it down to a 30-minute, you can do that one as well. But yeah, this is huge because if PvP breaks out in some capacity, either you're being griefed or maybe your guild needs help relatively close by, or maybe you're just interested in going just for the sake of going and breaking up the grind, you can easily just turn it off now and not worry about it and just wasting a loot scroll, which it's always feels pretty awful when you get interrupted and have to waste a loot scroll. But this makes it much, much more user-friendly for being able to participate in maybe content on the fly, spontaneous content, or just group content, or just PvP in general. So it's really nice.
Yep. It's really, really nice. Very awesome.
Yeah. I love the translation for it, though. It's called Zoom Rip on off. Zoom Rip.
Oh, are you looking at the translated
the actual
notes?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Black Desert Foundry.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Grinding zone skill EXP buffs. Essentially, they're just increasing the amount of skill EXP you get from a lot of different grind spots. Specifically, it looks like in Valencia. So that's pretty nice. Also, Sherakan, Blood Wolves, and Shira, and then Fadus. So that's nice. Skill EXP.
This is great for seasons.
It's kind of archaic, in all honesty. It's kind of like an old system that I almost feel like it doesn't belong in the game anymore. So anything to trivialize it, I'm 100% down for, in all honesty.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that they would just get rid of it In all honesty, I don't know if that's
Really,
a
just
if
like
that's a
outright
hot take.
remove it.
Yeah, just make it a level thing. When you hit a level, you get access to certain skills.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. I mean, it made more sense back in the day when it was harder to level up, right? So
Yeah,
and
exactly.
But since it's so easy to level up, you kind of just fly through the levels, and then you don't have access to a lot of your skills via skill point lock. So yeah, I mean, I definitely could see them possibly considering removing the skills. I mean, like it's kind of irrelevant, like you said, to have at this point.
Yeah, it's so like trivial because
Yeah.
it's just an annoying thing that you have to do basically. It's just like, all right, I got my character to 61, but he only has 800 skill points, so now I have to
Yeah.
grind skill points for 5 days. It's
I
like
remember
just
like
irritating.
during Media days when like getting skill points was really really difficult, but you were stuck on those levels for sometimes days at a
Yeah.
time. So, but picking and choosing which skill to upgrade was pretty essential. And if you
It's also
if you could actually have a wrong build back then, so
yeah. The other issue I have with it is that like how many skill points you need is so different from class to class.
oh god,
So
it's
like
massively different in some cases.
Awakened Striker needs like almost nothing, and then like Awakened Berserker needs so fucking many. It's actually
Yeah.
insane. So it's like
that's player driven though, like because you guys are determining what's essential for making the kit viable, right? So
I mean, not really though. That's the thing. It's legitimately it's just like like if you're a berserker, you have to level up like all 3 of your grabs to like max level so that you can have the cooldown reduce.
that's true.
Whereas like other classes, their grab maybe just has like 1 level, so they don't have to level up their grab, and they don't have 3 grabs to level up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And this isn't
it's
me
hard for-
complaining
it's hard
about
for
the
me to
plight of
really-
having a grab, you anti-grab activists. This is just me pointing out that there are just legitimate differences in how many skill points that you have to use.
It's hard for me to really like compare my class to it because we do have a lot of skills that we can level up, but there's quite a few that are relatively useless and not needed at all, especially if you're awakening for the most part. With how they've done, we've talked about this before in the past, but with how they've been updating all the awakening kits and whatnot, you pretty much don't really need too many pre-awakened skills, if any at all, for some classes. So like grinding wise, I don't need any pre-awakened skills. PvP wise, they're kind of useful from time to time. It just depends on the scenario. Large scale, not really, but in 1v1s they are. So it's like yeah. It's definitely different for each class for sure on how many skill points you need.
Node War and Siege changes. Basically, recovery centers reduce your timer by a little bit less. It looks like it says before the change, for each recovery station built, respawn waiting time reduced by 6. After change, for each recovery station built, respawn waiting time reduced by 3. Which is very interesting. I don't know why they thought that was a problem. I never considered it to be much of a problem.
Well, that
blue
could
text,
be in response to the recent changes, but go with the blue text and then we'll.
The blue
talk about
text
that.
says last week's occupation war, many guilds participated who hadn't participated in a long time. This brought a fierce wind of war to the Black Desert world. We hope the excitement continues this week, and we've made some changes to make the battle a little hotter in various places. Currently, the respawn time in Conquest War has a maximum of 24 seconds based on when all 6 recovery centers are alive. Therefore, a waiting situation can happen even if you win in a quote-unquote engage with many teammates still alive, so we have adjusted the respawn waiting time reduction for recovery centers to 3 seconds. Wait, doesn't that
What?
have...
Isn't that the reverse?
Yeah, isn't that the reverse?
This has to be a typo.
Yeah, I think there's a mistranslation here somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know where there's a mistranslation, but I think there's a mistranslation.
Change, if how they interpreted the blue text is right, I think it's actually supposed to be that the before change was 3 seconds, and now they're saying each recovery center reduces it by 6 seconds instead. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? If if we're understanding the blue text
Away
properly.
situation can happen even if you want to engage with many teammates still alive. So you just yeah. I don't. I'm. Yeah.
Either we're right or this is a Zerker Maywa moment.
Yeah. This could be a result of the Rezlar and Nyashi show. But this doesn't make sense to me. This seems like
I
it
feel
does
like this
the
is
opposite.
backwards. Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
this
like
this is
backwards.
backwards.
It
Something
has to be a
doesn't.
typo.
Either we're
'Cause I'm-
incredibly stupid, which is very likely the case, or this is not making sense.
Because I'm reading it on the actual Global Lab notes, not the Foundry one, and it says the same thing that you read. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. But
maybe the wording's just bad. The
reducing
waiting time
timers in
reduced
Siege,
fine.
I'm down with. Let's go with that. Castles still suck. UI changes. Improvements have been made so that purchases and sales can be re-registered in the purchase and sale list on the marketplace. So I guess now instead of having to take down your item and then relist it, you can just relist it,
Thank
which
God.
is nice.
That's actually a pretty
Yeah.
good convenience factor right there.
That seems to be what it's saying, I believe.
Those changes, I love those types of changes. You know,
Yeah.
just quality of life changes are huge. Like they really do take a lot of the annoyance out of like some aspects of the game, which makes you focus on just the things you want to focus on.
Yeah. Setting has been added to turn on/off the friends connection notification displayed at the top center of the screen. So this is the notification you get when your friends or I think guildmates as well log in or log out or whatever. You can turn that off now.
Thank God. It's just
So that's nice.
helping clean up the UI, and it goes along with the same sentiment of like quality of life fixes. You know, like especially after like me experiencing New World, their UI is so fucking clean. Like I'm used to like logging into BDO. You know when you first log into BDO and it's just like you get fucking bombarded with shit.
With pop-ups and shit.
Like
yeah.
pop-ups, notifications about every damn thing, horses being listed on the market, new items being enhanced. It's just overload right from the get-go. But
yeah.
So like coming from testing out New World in the beta, their UI was so clean. So moving towards that direction with having a cleaner UI is always a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what this is saying. It says it has been modified so that the quote tech usage log, which is exposed like the quote tech guide in UI editing, can be turned on and off respectively.
It's, I think it's talking about the actual skills. They'll be listed out when you're using them.
Oh, is that what it's about?
I think so. I could be wrong, but I think that's what that is.
Huh. Okay. Fair enough, I guess. Let's go with that. There's a bunch of smaller stuff here. I don't think anything here is too big. Just some smaller QL changes. Channel swap cooldown. Channel swap
This
cooldown.
is huge.
Channel swap cooldown time when moving to another server has been reduced from 15 minutes to 10 minutes. Very, very huge. So this now means that in an hour you can switch 6 times instead of 4, which is
That's
very nice.
so nice. I'm glad they decided to do this. Like, no one was really like quote unquote raging about this, but it has like I'm pretty sure a lot of players have had it in the back of their minds. Like, I really wish the damn server swaps were much faster. I know we used to have that issue way back in the past, especially when it comes to like when you had to deal with like going to war with the target, but then they just like you swap channels because maybe they just brought too many players and now you're on a different channel, but now there's like a whole bunch of people grinding at these spots. You don't want to go into another situation like that, so then you're just stuck waiting. So this is pretty nice.
Very, very nice change. Just in general, good change, very good change. Other changes: when wearing Margoria's Outlaw armor, the pair of shoes worn together has been separated into Margoria's Outlaw shoes. Accordingly, when you open Margoria Outlaw costume box, you can obtain 3 parts items: helmet, armor, and shoes. So now, essentially, they're splitting up the armor instead of it just being a helmet and armor, 2-set piece, helmet, armor, and shoes, 3-set piece. And then I believe I don't think there's any blue text about it in here, but I think somewhere else they said that they were gonna try to stop making things like all in one. I think we talked a little bit about this last week, and so I think this is like the first bit of that effort, which is nice. Bug fixes. I don't think there's anything too big here. I don't
I didn't really
believe.
see anything too big.
No,
yeah.
nothing too big. But this is huge. All classes. The phrase "unknown adventure" has been changed to be displayed above the character's head when wearing treant camouflage and desert camouflage. Intern strikes again. Good job. They need a
Yeah.
raise.
That's
Yeah.
actually really, really good. Now, I have heard complaints about that. Like people that paid for the Gilly are now like,
Oh,
there's been some players out
shut
there
up.
wanting to call for a refund on that. But it's like, it still does what it's intended to do. You're just not cancerous to deal with. You know, like you can't just like color your Gilly to match the environment.
I'm not literally invisible in RBF anymore. I need a refund. Shut up.
Yeah.
Good lord.
Well, it's like they were even complaining about that once they did the change in RBF too, but
so
it's just, like,
stupid.
it's just, you know, the game's supposed to like basically be a fair fighting game in some capacity, right? Like, but just being able to make yourself completely invisible and have an advantage over another player like that's just insane.
Yeah.
So this will at least kind of like help out a little bit with that. I mean, yeah, they could still do the colors, but at least you'll be like basically apparently visible with having your unknown character name above your head. So
Yeah.
I welcome this change personally.
Very good change. It also says the challenge laboratory only Black Desert Lab camouflage support has been added to obtain tree and camouflage classic costume box and desert camouflage classic costume box from Black Desert Research Lab. This challenge can only be completed once per family. Anyone connected to the Black Desert Research Lab. So you can only do this on global labs, but I really do hope that they add this to the live service. This is basically a one-time per family quest that gives you a ghillie suit, which is really nice because the ghillie suit is very strong, it's very useful, and the fact that you can't even buy it off the marketplace, which means if you're a completely free-to-play player, you have literally no way of getting it. It sucks ass.
Yeah. It just makes it a pay-to-win element, and you know, in its own way.
Yeah, so hopefully this is only for global labs right now, but hopefully they put this on live. Because I think it would be really nice of them to do that.
I think we could see this as early as next week, honestly.
The blue text says when wearing a camouflage costume, the character's name has been changed to be exposed as unknown adventure. However, this update is still under consideration and is applied first to find out the impact of the update in various ways through Black Desert Research Lab. For this reason, we have added that adventurers who use the Black Desert Research Lab can also obtain camouflage suits through challenges. Thank you for your feedback through the Black Desert Research Lab. So they're basically just saying we're not 100% about this change yet. We just kind of want to put it in global labs and see what people say. This is a really good change. I don't even need to log into global labs to know that. Please implement this immediately. Thank you.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I hope they aren't getting too much negative feedback on this change and they want to push it through. Like,
yeah,
I would love to hear like a player's like reasoning for why this is a negative change. Like, honestly, like I'd be interested in knowing their kind of thought process on it. Like, I understand like they spent money on it. Like, I have a ghillie too. I spent money on it too, but I even personally want this change to come through. It's so silly when, you know, you're in a fight and everyone's wearing ghillies, and it just becomes really difficult to kind of like visually keep track of them. It's like, it's just a pain in the ass. And then people just use it abusively in a lot of different ways. So
yeah. Cooldown time of change skill preset. A part of the Old Moon Scroll has been changed from 60 minutes to 10 minutes. So now, whether you are swapping at a skill instructor or not, just in the safe zone, the cooldown to swap to another preset is going to be 10 minutes. So what it is right now, for anyone who isn't aware, if you go to a safe zone, you can swap your preset, but if you do it just like in a safe zone in general, the cooldown is 60 minutes. If you go to a skill instructor, it'll be 10 minutes. Now, with this change, either way, it's just going to be 10 minutes, which is super nice, especially for people like me who, if I'm out in the world grinding, I'm grinding on Succession Berserker. But then if I have to fight someone, I like to switch to Awakening Berserker because I'm my PvP on Awakening. So what I will normally do is, if I have to PvP someone, I will go to Battle Arena, swap my preset to PvP, and then go fight them. And then I'll just grind the rest of my hour really scuffed in Awakening with not the correct add-ons, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So this is a really nice change. This is basically just you can go to Battle Arena, swap to your other spec, PvP, and then swap back. Just a really nice quality of life change. Really appreciate this.
Agreed.
Um,
Definitely.
the attribute equipment obtainable in Elvia's realm has been changed so that seasoned characters can use it. Apparently, seasoned characters couldn't use Elvia weapons, which is kind of funny.
That's
So,
weird. I didn't hear about that before.
I never heard about it either, but I mean, that is what I'm assuming this is talking about. Attribute equipment obtainable in Elvia's realm, right? That has to mean Elvia
Yeah,
weapons.
that has to be it. Yeah. I mean,
So,
honestly, I guess I couldn't understand why they initially designed it that way, because the whole idea and thought is Elvia server spawns or spots are supposed to be kind of like high tier gear, right? So typically it's thought of that seasoned characters are definitely not at that level, but some classes can definitely grind at lower gear score for those locations. So
all right, Corsair Awakening. Corsair Awakening will be updated on the official servers of all countries on Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. So the Awakening is coming this upcoming Wednesday. So pretty hype about that. They added the Raboms to GLabs. My understanding is that Frosty is not super excited about these. Wish he was here to kind of talk about it, but my understanding is that
out of
one of
all
them,
days for him to be
yeah, I know. My understanding, what you may told me that Frosty was talking about when he was testing them on GLabs, is that one of them might be good for pulling mobs, which would be nice. The other one's kind of not so good.
Yeah, so when I was watching him test, I wasn't there for all the testing he was doing, but I seen the skills initially being used, so I kind of had a brief understanding of them.
Mhm.
It just looks like he's lobbing bubbles. He's just throwing bubbles out. Some of the
Yeah.
skills are pretty nifty. There's one engage looking skill. I believe it does a bound or a float on the end of the hit, but it has like an engagement type aspect to it. Very similar to like my class's pedal drill, which looks like it might be nice. They can't really cancel out of its actual attack though, so it's hard to say how useful that will be in a large scale scenario. So
yeah, they also
I
made
didn't
a
see any
couple other
damage.
changes, including increasing the amount of mana or whatever resource they use. You get back on all kinds of different skills, so that's nice.
Actually, do they use mana?
I don't know what this says spirit recovery, so I don't think that's mana. I think that's its own thing, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% on that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
Either
don't think
way,
they're-
whatever resource they use, they're increasing how much you get for hitting mobs with it, so that's nice. I
Yeah.
don't know if they had a problem, but yeah.
I don't recall Frosty ever talking about that, but there again, he is infinite pot. So
Yeah, he's got the infinite pot, so he doesn't know the struggle of normal people. So
now
speaking,
we'll have a 50% reduced weight on their pots. So-
yeah, right. So speaking of what should we call it? We got a GM note thingy. Talking about the Corsair Awakening. There's a whole lot of text here. I don't think I want to read this, to be perfectly honest, but if you're interested, there is a little bit of a short story, I guess, regarding the Corsair Awakening. Here's the picture we saw in the GLabs of the Corsair Awakening outfit with the otters behind her with her harpoon sword. And then we get the skill, which is interesting. I like it personally. Other people don't. There's a lot of people who don't, which sucks.
You're talking about
hopefully-
the one demo skill that video they gave?
Yeah. So let me open this in a new tab, and then let's zoom in so everybody can see it pretty clearly
I
here.
seen Anfield was looking at a website that had a list of some of their skills from their Awakening kit. I don't know where he got that from.
Well, I have it.
Oh, you have all the website with all the skills, not just the video.
Not all the skills, but they released
The
a
ones that they
post
released.
talking about some of the skills. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so in the one skill preview that we got, you can see that the Corsair like used some sort of movement ability to move away from the mobs. She turns around, she lifts her sword up into the air. She like uses some like it like looks like she fires something into the air essentially, and then at the same exact time the otters on a cannon appear next to her, and a fucking anchor just annihilates these feather wolves. It drops from the sky and just obliterates the feather wolves. I love the anchor, I hate the otters.
Yeah, I'm hearing some very strong opinions on the otters.
Yeah, I don't get the otters. I mean, I get that it's kind of like fun or whatever, but I wish the otters weren't there. The idea of dropping a fucking anchor on someone is amazing.
It is hilarious.
I love that. I love the anchor. I hate the otters. So
Makes me
very
think of Nautilus from League of
yeah,
Legends.
yeah, bro. The otters are a little much, but I think the other thing that bothers me about it is that they just like appear, which I was hoping they wouldn't. Because why? Why do they appear?
Were you hoping like the gang was following her the whole time?
Well, no, I honestly, what I was thinking they might do is that she like opens up some like water portal that they like swim out of. You know? I don't know. That has some
mean-
implications for the rest of her kit, but like that's what I thought they were gonna do. They just like appear. Why do they just like appear out of thin air? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
it makes
I
sense
understand where
for
you're getting at.
Mystic's Dragon to do it, and it makes sense for Striker's clones to do it. Why? Like it's fucking crazy. But yeah, I love the anchor. The anchor's fucking hilarious and amazing, and I'm a fan of this skill. Honestly, a lot of people don't like it, but I'm a fan of it. So let me read what it says here. So the description of the video that we were watching is a quote captain's orders open fire into quote captain orders ceasefire skill combo. So apparently this is two different skills, which I guess you can kind of see that the anchor drops and then she does some second hit, which I guess is the ceasefire ability. So it says, after securing the slippery scallywag's den and recovering the heirloom of the crow, Corsair leads the I think it's supposed to be slippery scallywags, into
Slippery
battle with her newly obtained Patraka, which I guess is the name of her sword. With Patraka, a weapon imbued with the dense mist of the crow's nest in her hands, Corsair can easily rush down enemies while surrounded by its mist. Distant enemies aren't safe either, as she can pierce them with her harpoon from afar, dragging them into her mist and neutralizing them, which we'll talk about that in a second, because I know what everyone's thinking. Yes, we're going to address it. And of course, as the beloved captain of the Slippery Scallywags, she can give out orders for her crew to follow. Her loyal scallywags are armed to the teeth with cannons and ready to launch an artillery barrage the second Corsair gives the command. All this allowing Corsair to control the battlefield and surprise her enemies. Any foe unfortunate enough to run into Corsair stands no chance of escaping her miss, especially with her loyal crew at her side. So, let's talk about that one line that everyone's been freaking out about. Distant enemies aren't safe either, as she can pierce them with her harpoon from afar, dragging them into her mist and neutralizing them. So it appears that not only is she going to obtain a grab, she's going to get a ranged grab.
It's going to be 100-foot grab.
So people have some problems with this.
Oh my god.
Now, here's the thing. It might warrant having a ranged grab, but here's the problem with giving this class a ranged grab. The last 4 classes have had ranged grabs. Like, it seems like we're getting a little liberal with the ranged grabs in these classes at this point.
Dude, at this point, I just feel like every new class is just gonna like try to like beat out the next one on how far the distance is on the grabs. Like, what is actually going on here? I don't even understand it.
And I think Kerr talked about this a little bit on the last episode of the podcast, but it almost seems like, and I mean, we don't know for sure because we don't have the kit, right? But it almost seems like it's just something that they're just throwing in there because they're like, oh yeah, they need like a really strong, quick catch. Let's just give them a ranged grab, sure.
Well, that was like Frosty's thought on it. He's like, because of how the succession kit looks and whatnot, the catches are not really that great, right? There's very few catches, and on top of that, they're not really that great for like 1v1s and whatnot. It's kind of like catches that they'll work well if no one's paying attention to it and you catch them in the back kind of thing. And even then, they're probably not even going to work all that well because they're very limited in nature and how they work. But so Frosty was talking about it at one point, I think during the podcast, like a week or two ago or something like that. But basically saying, he wouldn't be surprised if they added grab to the Awakening kit because, they have to come up with either fast catches or she needs something in order to compete, right? Yeah. And I understand that, but it's like, fucking hell, another range grab?
Yeah, it's more.
Obviously, we don't have it yet, so we're making a lot of assumptions here. But
it's just the optics of it.
Yeah,
it's the optics. It's not necessarily that the range grab is going to be busted. It could not. We have no idea. We have to get the class and then experience it before we can make that decision. But the optics look really bad when in the last 4 classes, you've added 4 ranged grabs. That looks really bad.
Well, I mean, it really concerns me on what they plan to do with the reboot. Because so they're planning on adding new skills, at least one, right, to probably every class that are the 17 classes that are being selected for this. That's my understanding, right? So there's a likelihood that they basically are just gonna just rip the Band-Aid off, say fuck it, and they're gonna give every class a grab. That is going to massively change how this game works if they do that. Like, I'm obviously being a little hyperbolic here on my concerns, but there's a pretty damn good chance that they're probably going to do that. Like, looking at these new classes,
well, the
last 3 or 4 classes, it's a huge concern. I don't like that.
And I mean, again, I think it's a reasonable concern to have because, again, the last 4 classes have all had ranged grabs. So, what kind of inference do you want us to make on the upcoming changes whenever this is what you do?
Exactly.
I mean, it's just and I also agree that there are a lot of people, especially you see it all the time on Reddit. People are like, every class needs to have a grab, or no class needs to have a grab. It's like, okay, let's just make every class exactly the same. Then, that's so boring.
I don't want that. I don't want something to dumb down the outplay potential. Not every time a grab is added, that is what happens. Not every class is like that, but in a lot of classes that have grabs, it does dumb down the outplay potential. Like, when all they have to do is literally just wait for the grab cooldown and then just go back in. That's just not very, it's not very competitive friendly at all, in my opinion. Yeah. It's just it's just an I win button. I don't know. Yeah. It's just weird to me. I do not like this perception. Obviously, we're still making an assumption on this skill, but it's pretty much.
We should point out. I feel the need to point out again. It's not necessarily that the grab itself is OP. It could be more like Hash's grab. Hash's grab doesn't feel super crazy. At least not to me.
It's not as bad.
Yeah, because the rest of the kit doesn't feel so insane that the grab seems unnecessary, and the
Yeah.
grab itself doesn't feel insanely powerful either. But then you have something like Awaken Nova, where it's like they have no problem getting catches even without the grab, but on top of that, they get a range grab that they can just
They
throw
get
out
a
every
range
like
grab,
8
a
seconds.
fucking vacuum, and
Then
it's
you have
just like,
Sage, which need I say anything, and on top of everything else, they also have a range grab. So it's like, it could be like Hash, where it's not so much of a problem and it seems relatively balanced, but it could also be like Sage or Awaken Nova, where it's like, okay, this is problematic.
yeah. And it
Um,
feels like in a lot of cases the range grabs are even more forgiving in some cases than melee grabs.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know
I
why,
agree.
but they have been.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see how powerful it is. It just, as far as optics go, it looks awful that you have now given a 4th class in a row a ranged grab whenever this is a pretty common complaint among players. Not just grabs, but ranged grabs in particular, but also grabs to a lesser extent in general. It's a problem. So yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see. So we have Corsair's main awakening skills. So this is a list of a couple skills. They have Spare No Quarter, throws her rope into the air, lifting her up and surrounding her blade in mist as she comes down and slices her foes. So this almost kind of seems like her current pre-awakened shift Q, almost, where she kind of like launches herself in the air and then comes down. Sun Shielder Patraka throws her rope towards the sun. Okay. Floating mid-air before firing her harpoon. Enemies hit by the harpoon will be neutralized by her miss. I'm guessing that means a stun, I'm assuming? So this is some sort of movement stun, probably. If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably going to be a little similar to... like I think of Archer's sideways right click where they do the little roll into the knockdown shot. You know what I'm talking about, Nashi?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think of when I read this.
Sounds
Ocean's
about right.
Lure reels back her launched harpoon, luring enemies into the mist. So assuming or presumably rather, this is the grab. Now what's
It just
interesting?
sounds so weird.
Yeah, what's interesting is that this doesn't say that she launches her harpoon. It just says that she reels back her launched harpoon. So it makes it sound like there's actually going to be some sort of, like, I don't know, like you can, I don't know. I don't know what this is this is implying some weird thing where it's like a 2-part grab where you like launch your harpoon and then if it hits, you have the option of like doing the grab function of it. Is what
So
it
like
sounds
pulling
like.
them in or something like that. Or...
Yeah, I mean that's what it, because it says reels back her launched harpoon, which means there's another skill that launches her harpoon, presumably. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
like
I don't know.
when maybe it was Anfield, but so like on Anfield's podcast or not podcast on his stream the other day, yesterday, someone was saying that it sounded like a pin down skill, like something to like leash you into place, right? But yeah, it's just sounding more like a grab than like a.
I mean, yeah, it says luring enemies into the mist. I mean, I don't know. I guess that could. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck. Oh, I have to see it. I have to see it, but it sounds like a range grab, and I'm not super hype about it.
Blitz grab from League of Legends. Yeah, it could be.
And then we have Captain's Orders Open Fire, which is a BSR skill, it looks like. It has a little BSR emblem on it. I'm not sure if it's 100 or 200, but it has it. Lifts her weapon into the air, giving the signal to open fire. Following her orders, the Scallywags fire their ship's massive anchor at the enemy. So that's the skill that we have up here, open fire. I'm assuming that's probably going to be 100%, I feel like, but we'll see. So yeah, look forward to the swashbuckling antics of Corsair and the Slippery Scallywags on August 11th, 2021. So that is also coming up this upcoming Wednesday. I'm excited to see what it is. I feel like this is going to be neat, if nothing else. Just this one skill, I fucking love it. I love the anchor, so I'm excited to see what they do with it. Other people, not so much. If you go to the
Yeah.
comments of this post, we have Facepalm, yeah, ruined. GG, give me a reason. Thanks for giving me a reason to play Final Fantasy. Meanwhile, every other game uses what simply works and sells instead of experimental Frankenstein ideas. Lamal, what garbage. Another disappointment. Yeah, so a couple
Well,
positive comments in here, but mostly
Frosty actually dipped in real quick. I guess there's some big necessity to set the trend for the pronunciation. I guess it's Utreku or something like that is how they're saying.
he typed in my chat. He said Patreka.
Patreka?
Patreka.
How they're saying the pronunciation though is Utreku.
I don't know. He says Patreka. Why did you just type that number?
I
to
have
me?
no idea why that came in there. Why did it
Jesus
not
Christ.
copy from there? Can you not copy from?
So anyway, yeah, I am looking forward to this. I'm pretty excited. I do not care much about the succession. Doesn't seem very fun to me, but just from this one skill, I am already more on board with the Awakening than I am for the succession. So excited to see what they do. Probably won't reroll, but I will be excited to play it a little bit. So that's coming up. So look forward to that. Moving on. Or Nash, any final thoughts about that before we move on?
Nah, not really.
All right, let's talk about BDO getting more pay to win.
The real topics here.
Yeah, so they put this up on August 4th, 3 days ago. Notices upcoming changes to central market prices for Pearl items and Pearl outfit extraction quantities. So the TLDR of this is they're changing outfits, how many crons you get from them, and how much Valk's Cries you get from them, and how much you can sell them for on the market. The before values are 110 Valk Cries, 330 Cron Stones, and 335 million silver max price. The after quantities are 140 Valk Cries, 420 Cron Stones, and 470 million silver. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts, Nayashi?
Why? Like, like you mentioned this the other day. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? When
Yeah.
this, but basically, like, in the point in time where you have so much competition about to come out in the MMO industry, like, there's a lot of hype with games that are coming with New World. You got Lost Ark. You got Elion. All these games are coming out relatively close proximity of each other, and you're gonna up the value of pay to win.
Yeah. So I'd like to give a defense because we talked about this in our group chat. So I'd like to give Frosty's take on it because he kind of defended it. Me and him went back and forth a little bit on it.
The standard white knighting.
Yeah. So I linked the post, and then he says where. Let's see here. So I said it buffs swipers, but nerfs buyers buying outfit for crons because they up the amount of silver more than they up the amount of crons, which is annoying because that means that we're making it better for sellers and worse for buyers because you get less crons, but you're spending more money. He says that's definitely not true because right now a lot of people don't have access to costumes because they aren't worth listing. Now they're kind of are depending on your threshold for silver per dollar value wise. As well, KR has been 420 crons and 630 million silver for 1 year already. So essentially his argument is that you can't buy costumes very much on the market right now because no one's selling because it's not super worth. And with this price increase, hopefully it will encourage more people to list more costumes, allowing players to buy more costumes off the marketplace to get crons to enhance their items, which is a fair take.
Yeah, they did, however, slightly nerf it too. I don't know if you noticed the value of how many crown stones and Valkyries you get is not equivalent, or it's not as close to what it was originally.
No, actually, I literally just talked about that 5 seconds ago.
Oh, sorry, I was getting grief by gamers. These things happen.
Yeah, they increased Jesus Christ, they increased the amount of silver that you can sell costumes for on the marketplace more than they increased the amount of Valkyries and Crons that you get from the costume from extracting it, which
Well, at least
sucks.
Frosty can feel better. It's not just when he talks.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but at the same time, like, and this is what I said in our group chat, like, I don't see anybody quitting over this, man. Everybody who had a problem with pay to win has already left the building, in my opinion. I don't think this is like, no one is. People might be upset about this, and people might think that this is a bad idea. I'm one of those people. But yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna leave over this, in all honesty.
Yeah, I agree. Like, for those that are like been sticking out since the beginning, the only reason why I could see people leaving is if they're interested in new games, and that's basically it. Like, the quote unquote pay to win element of it is not really going to be too much of a factor because it's not like it's really that much more of an issue.
Yeah.
So
I would like to point out one thing though. Yeah, I think, which we also talked about this a little bit in our group chat. This, what an awful time to put this change in.
yeah.
This is, despite what people like, despite all the good changes that have been making right now, I feel personally that right now it is the popular thing to shit on and quit BDO and then make your own Moreland video, except for not as long because you don't actually care, where you talk about your grievances with BDO and why you're quitting.
Yeah.
And
I've
so
seen a number of different videos since Morlands.
which I like. I might be making a video talking about this later on, but it just feels like it's
What,
a
you're quitting
band.
too?
No,
Just
talking
fucking
about
with.
people quitting, because it feels like it's a real bandwagon thing, and I don't mean to say that to like try and attack anyone or diminish anybody's like reasons for quitting or whatever. Like, at the end of the day, if you want to quit, then quit, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean it in legitimately. Like, if you don't like spending your free time on BDO, you shouldn't, because that fucking sucks. It sucks doing things that you don't want to in your free time. But it seems like it's just the popular thing to do right now. And so to give more ammo to people that are, for whatever strange reason, in my opinion, being super pessimistic about the game right now, like, I think this was a really bad time to do this. And I know
Yeah.
Frosty pointed out in our group chat, he was like, well, they said that this was coming back in 2019. And it's like, well, yeah, but A, they could have just decided not to do it. It's not like they've never gone back on what they've said before. And then B, it's like, you couldn't have held off until we got out of this like doom and gloom thing that
this,
people
like,
are in right now.
It's like potentially devastating to your player base.
Yeah,
you know,
like
period of time.
people are like, and again, I can't stress this enough, strangely, for whatever reason, really upset about the current state of the game, even though this is, in my opinion, the best it's been in years. Like, why are you giving them more ammunition? It's very confusing. But
Yeah.
so
And
yeah,
Frosty wanted me to point out he wants it on the record that he would highly prefer them not to have the Cron melting / costume selling at all. But I do see how the players that don't spend money on it gives them a slightly better chance at getting costumes through the marketplace. So
yeah, he told me the same thing in my chat. Yeah, so to clarify, I don't like this. I don't think anybody likes this except for whales. Whales like this. But that being said, I mean, it will increase the amount of costumes you can buy in the marketplace, which is, I guess, a good thing if you're a free-to-play player. But I don't think anybody's quitting because of this. Not really. They might list this as one of their grievances in their "I'm quitting BDO" YouTube videos, but I don't think anybody's quitting because of this.
Yeah, to your point, like people are probably just going to use it as like some sort of like way to,
Well, they're gonna add it to the list of grievances. I mean,
yeah,
that's all
they'll make
is.
it sound like it's this huge big ordeal, but like honestly, there's no way.
So TLDR, good change if you're a free-to-play player that wants to buy costumes on the marketplace. Good change if you sell costumes. Whatever kind of change if you're buying costumes, it's more expensive, but you get more crons. Bad change if you are very anti-pay-to-win and don't like the idea of buffing swipers. So take your pick, whatever position you want to take. There's the list. All right, moving on. We got Node War. Okay, so we got a couple things to talk about. We got to talk about. I think first we should talk about the guild skill. The
annex changes.
No, not the annex changes. The Spirit of
The
Battle.
blessing?
Spirit of
Oh,
Battle.
yeah.
Spirit of Battle. So there's a
I thought
new.
you were going down a list of changes rather than trying to remember the specific.
No, I
skill.
was trying to remember the name of it. So there's a
Yeah.
new mechanic that they put into the game where you die, your guild dies a lot. This bar fills up, and then you get access to these neat certain skills. I think it's 2 of them, right? Isn't there only 2 of them right now?
Correct. There's a revival one that's an
There's-
hour-long
yeah.
cooldown, and then the spirit one, which is the
The revival one
5-minute
reduces your entire guild's death respawn timers to 0 so that everyone can spawn instantly. And the other one basically gives everyone in your guild PA. It's like, I mean, the TLDR of it is its PA.
Yeah.
Protected area. Sorry, I should clarify.
I mean, it's honestly better.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, it is. It's a little bit better. So what have you Node Ward? I'm assuming you have.
I did not, but I was present and watching some of the Node Wars, so I know about it, and I got
Yeah.
feedback from my guild on how they thought about it, and so yeah, I could talk about it.
I Node Ward last night. That skill is insanely powerful. Like holy shit levels of powerful. It makes everyone insanely tanky, and it only has a cooldown of I think 10 minutes. That shit is crazy.
Wait, the spirit, it's 5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes? Jesus
5
Christ,
minutes.
that's even worse. Yeah, I think if you're gonna have it be that big of an effect, it has to have a longer cooldown, I think. You either have to reduce how tanky it makes people, which, like, or you have to increase the cooldown, honestly.
Yeah,
you
I
have to
mean-
do one or the other.
There's a couple different ideas I have with this. I know Frosty gave his like basically his thoughts on the whole skill. I'll read his thoughts here in a second. But basically, he says he thinks it's bad overall. He thinks it either, like you said, needs a longer cooldown for how powerful it is, or it can keep the same cooldown but significantly reduce what it does. He does like the idea that it keeps weaker guilds competitive, but it's up there. It's too abusable, basically. And I agree with those points. I mean, just like what you were saying too. Like, I think the cooldown idea is good. I think they also need to tone down some of the elements of the skill. Like, because I know Frosty also mentioned this yesterday after their war. But basically, the 30-second super armor, that's insane. Like,
Yeah.
I understand what they went for. Make it 10 seconds instead. Hell, even 20 seconds would be better than 30. But, like, it should honestly only be about 10 seconds. 30 seconds of super armor with 200 DR and 500 HP every second, basically. That's insane. That's actually insane.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty.
You're because at least during PA you could be CC'd. You're just ridiculously tanky, right? and you don't heal, you still take damage. You could still die during a PA. It's just obviously far more difficult. This is not as tanky, but you are unCCable, so it means you can constantly attack. You could throw out whatever damaging abilities you have, and most of the time, generally, people are only throwing out the safe skills, so they're not able to throw out as much damage potential, theoretically. So yeah, it's just insane what you can do with it. From the experiences that they had last night, they basically were learning that this is a skill you run from if you see your opponents pop it. It's like it's the old approach to like the push and pull with PA, trying to pop your PA and utilize your PA but dodge their PA. So it's the same kind of concept with this, except on a much more ridiculous scale. Now, mind you, this is harder to achieve because you have to basically be wiping in order to achieve it. I think APOC was fighting Spartan last night, and Spartan was able to get 7 of them. 7 uses of this skill. APOC got 1. So that's really strong. It turned what would typically be a shorter fight into a definitely a lot longer one, which makes it fun in a 1v1 scenario. But if you think about it from like a multi-guild fight scenario, that's going to be insane, and it's going to be difficult to knock out weaker guilds in those scenarios. So that could be looked at as more fun, or that could be looked at as extremely challenging. I guess it really depends. So I don't know. I think it's still a little early, but I think overall it's kind of, I'm in agreement with you guys. It's kind of too strong in its current form.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like,
yeah, I like the idea. Letting lower guilds have lower gear score guilds and lower player count guilds have more fun by being able to, like, instead of just being rickroll the whole time throughout the entire roll, just getting just absolute dumpstered. At least gives you an opportunity to like fight back and maybe win a couple pushes. The problem is where the abusiveness aspect of it can work. Basically, you can purposely int into a guild 1 or 2 fights, and then you utilize this skill after you have a really strong offensive push against the enemy, and then now you're on top of their base. You combine this with the changes that they did to the annexes, which they reduced the annexes, basically HP or their defense capabilities as well with this patch. So now everything's a lot weaker again than what they were previously. And you can literally just basically blow up someone's base race by basically abusing this skill. And this is where the problem, I think, is going to end up being. Once guilds learn how to utilize it properly, I think that's where it's going to really be a problem. They're just going to purposely end, then they're going to win the fights to get on top of the base, then they're going to pop the skill when they're respawning just so that they can nuke the fort.
Yeah.
So that's a huge concern because, like last week or, a couple weeks ago when it was, it's much more difficult to kill the annexes and the fort itself. You had to go through and kill the fort and whatnot, which was fun. It made it more tactful and whatnot. This has its own form of tact, but it could either prolong some really weird fights, or it could make some fights just extremely short because they'll just go straight for the fort and just ignore everything else. So
yeah. So here's my thoughts summarized. Good idea. I like the idea. We need to either increase the cooldown or reduce the effectiveness of the skill. Maybe a little bit of both, but don't do it too much where it's useless. Also, add more skills. Add more skills to the spirit of battle so that it becomes like a decision, right? I would much rather it become like
there's a multitude of options to
yeah. I want it to be like I have to pick from this list of things, like what's going to be most useful in this like scenario, rather than just that. Oh yeah, this skill's busted as shit and now we have access to it for this next push. You see what I'm saying?
I do like that idea. It's just they have to be careful, and they have to make sure that all the skills have some sort of equality in power, because if there's one skill that's obviously too strong, then they're just only ever going to use that. Or maybe make it so that there's long cooldowns in each individual skill, but you have to rotate through the cycle or something like that.
No, but see, that reduces the choice, though.
Yeah.
Because then you would just be rotating through the skills. I want there to be... In a perfect world, I would like for there to be, like, let's say 5 skills, all on relatively low cooldowns, like 5-10 minutes, that all do different things but are fairly balanced to where each one of them could be extremely useful in the right situation and, like, borderline useless in the wrong situation.
Yeah.
And then if you want to have one skill like this one, where it's going to be useful no matter what, you give it a little bit longer of a cooldown, and you let that be that. But, like, I don't know. I could see a lot of potential for this sort of thing.
Yeah. So one more point I want to add to this particular skill, as far as like what could potentially change with it. And this is an idea I was thinking of last night. I'm not sure if anyone else has thought about this, but why not make it just strictly for winning a fight? So what I mean by that is make it so that when you have the skill active, you do reduce damage to structures like forts and annexes. I think that would be fine. That would make it at least focused around what it's actually truly intended for, which is actually winning a fight, not allowing you to abuse it to kill a fort, which is what I think will probably end up being the case. So, like, if you want to, like, I do agree still, like, maybe increase the cooldown to 10 minutes or something like that, and then maybe reduce the super armor a bit. But if they happen to leave that, or even if they do reduce it, add in a feature where basically it reduces damage to annexes and forts. I think that would make it fairer, and it wouldn't be as devastatingly overpowered in some situations. So
yeah. All right.
Give it a drawback, basically. Give a powerful skill a drawback. Like that's basically the idea.
Actually, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Are you aware of what's happening in T1s right now?
I am not exactly, but I did get a complaint from a Mayo buddy saying Mayo damage was pretty much garbo right now in T1s.
Yeah, no, that's not the problem. I'll show you the problem. Let me pull this up for you real quick, because a problem we have. Let me pull up. Where is my? Here we are. So I'm gonna put this on main screen. I'm gonna share my screen in Discord if you want to tune in for this.
Sure.
Hopefully it's at a decent quality. My internet sucks, so if you can't see it too well, I can just link it to you.
I can see it. Relatively good enough, I think. It depends on what you're wanting me to see.
Okay, so I would just like for you, if you can, to watch the HP of the fort. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so you can see we have a sage here, teleporting around, doing sage things. He gets caught, and he goes down. Now, look at the HP of the fort.
Oof.
You notice anything strange about that? You notice anything strange about that, Nayashi?
That is really bad.
Now, you might think, well, that's kind of a weird thing, but that's probably a one-time incident.
I actually did hear about this.
I point you to evidence number 2. Please enjoy this clip as well. Please, I beg you to watch the HP of the fort.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, and this goes along with the sentiment I mentioned about the spirit of battle or whatever. Like, if you have it pop during that period, you guys basically almost can't be stopped.
Here is a third example. Let me rewind this a little bit. So you can see here HP of the fort, and it's dead.
Yeah. So to go along with this,
here's another example.
Yeah, I did hear that in some cases, basically forts were dying in under a minute.
Yes. So, for clarification, for anybody who's wondering, this is all on T1s. T1s are fucked. In one of these clips, I don't remember which one it was, you can actually hear someone say T1 is dead after a fort dies in 0.2 seconds, which is pretty funny. Yeah, for some strange reason, one of the changes that they made, or maybe a combination of changes that they have made... Hold on, let me just put one of these on repeat. I'm going to do this one because I like this one. Forts in T1 just die instantly. In every single one of these clips, you can see people just completely ignoring like other structures and just going purely for fort damage. In the second clip, if I were to turn on the audio, you'd actually hear the shot caller go, "Fuck the structures, just go for the stick, go for the stick, go for the stick," because that is now the strategy. Or sorry, it's the third clip. In this third clip...
I think that's kind of what APOC did last night to finish off Spartan. Because Spartan was just going straight for the fort as well, if I remember correctly.
But again, I can't stress enough that this is T1s.
Yeah.
Like, this is gear capped.
This is a problem.
This is gear capped, people. Like, okay, so they just got to this fort. Like, this guy just showed up to this fort. It is 2 minutes into this war. He just showed up to the fort later than, like, I don't know, maybe like 10 people. And the fort's already down to 75%. At this point, I think the shot caller says just go for the fort, and the HP just... They have all of their structures. Every single structure damn near in this base is still up.
This fort ended in under 5 minutes. Or
and it's dead. Right there. So at 3:17, it's dead. When does this war start? It starts like somewhere back here, I think.
It was like a 2 to 3 minute war then.
At 3:17, the fort dies. When does the war start? He kind of sits in town for a minute or two. Remember, 3:17 is when the fort dies.
And it's not like they had overwhelming numbers. That was like what, maybe at most 20.
And it's gear capped. So it's not like they have 350 AP just shredding through structures. Now remember, 3:17 is when the fort dies. We're closing in on 2 minutes in this VOD before war even starts.
It's not even a 2-minute war.
War starts at 1:54. The fort died at 3:17. Now I suck at math, but I believe that means that fort died in 1 minute and 23 seconds, 33 seconds.
Something like that, yeah. That's really, really short.
Either way, the fort dies in less than 2 minutes.
Well, the positive note is that T1 guild can get back to grinding right away because they obviously need the gear. But, yeah. So, TLDR, PA, please fix this. This is not okay. This is a problem. Yeah, this needs to stop. This is not okay. That's really, really bad.
Yeah, that's awful. That's really bad. Yeah. So hopefully they fix that immediately because
I didn't know what you were originally going to be referring to, but yeah, I did hear that some forts were dying in like less than a minute or so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Hopefully they do something about it. It's not okay. My guild is officially a T2 guild now because
T1's is big no, yeah.
Between not being able to kill anybody, so everybody feels like they do actually no damage, so they're not having fun, like because they can't kill anybody, and then this where it's actually just you're better off just ignoring the ball even because they can't kill you. So just run to the fort and kill the fort. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's really silly. So hopefully they fix things because it's not okay.
It would be good to have the HP on the forts at least back.
Yeah. Secondarily, sieges. We got the siege changes, and things are fucking crazy. Here's a screenshot that actually I will send this to you. Kamoris, good friend of mine, he's in EU. He linked me that picture and stream before we got started. That is the Valencia territory with 20 forts on it in EU.
It's gonna be cracked tonight. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's pretty fucking crazy. And then this was SEA, Calpheon SEA. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 forts on Calpheon SEA. So yeah, people want them siege rewards. Let's just go take a look-see, because I'm curious. Oh, I have to swap. I forgot. Fuck. I don't feel like swapping. There's probably a lot of forts already on NA, I would assume. I don't feel like checking. I'm being told to look in guild chat. In guild chat. What am I looking in guild chat for? Why am I looking in guild chat? I am looking in guild chat in Discord. What am I looking for?
They're trolling you.
I'm being trolled. Oh, you want? Okay, yeah, okay. So, yeah, there's this thing going on where people are trying to essentially script a stalemate so that every player in every guild gets 500 mil. I believe this happened in
Really?
SEA, and it's also now apparently happening in NA, where there are some guilds that are trying to get a bunch of different guilds to essentially force a stalemate so that every single person in all of those guilds get 500 mil. Essentially, they're going to drop on a region with, like, presumably 5 to 10 guilds and push off everyone who is not part
Not
of them just
affiliated.
by zerging them down, and then they're just going to all leave and make it stalemate. Apparently, it's happening in EU as well. I'm being told that Valencia is scripted to force a stalemate as well.
Yikes.
Which is why we can't have nice things, by the way. Like, people complain,
Yikes.
why doesn't Siege give money? They make Siege give money, and then you have 10 guilds forcing a stalemate so that people can make, like, 1 hour, 2 hours worth of grinding.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cringe. Pretty cringe. This is why we can't have nice things. They're probably going to nerf the rewards. And then everybody's going to go back to not sieging and crying about how it gives no money.
They just need to clean up the rules and conditions on how you can actually get funds.
I mean, what they're going to do is they're going to change it to where stalemating gives, like, no money. Or it gives the same as a loss, which is 150 mil.
That's what they should do then, honestly.
Which sucks, because...
It does, but you know what? It's... Not winning is basically losing.
People want to ruin things for everybody. It's really annoying. So, yeah, that sucks. It's not fun. Don't do that. Siege already sucks enough, man. Why are we scripting stalemates? It's so... Ugh. If you're someone participating in this, ugh. That's all I have to say to you. Gross. Moving on. Last thing before we get to comments is the enhancement changes. We got it on live. Apparently, some people really like it. Some people really don't. Nashi, thoughts? Briefly, because we already talked about this, I think.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily the biggest fan about the annex changes. I think the skill is nice, but the siege related stuff, they need to work on it, flesh it out a little bit more. So,
Nashi, I've already moved on from that. I'm talking about the enhancement changes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the siege. What were the thoughts on that? For the enhancement, I mean, the enhancement system is basically. I talked to Biseptimus and got his thoughts on it. He loves it. he thinks it's a really, really good system on how the enhancement's set up now. He said his biggest problem is he's thinking it's going to make him quit because he's going to have to do the 30K quests, and he hates doing quests. He thinks the +5 permanent stack is too good to pass up on now because of how it works with the absorbing the blackstones and whatnot. So I think it's overall really good though. It's less bullshit you have to deal with when you're enhancing. So
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, I believe we talked about this last week, but they changed enhancement to be a little bit more QL friendly, I guess, where now essentially you can just sacrifice a certain amount of blackstones to just instantly garner a certain amount of fail stacks. I believe the maximum is 30, right?
I haven't personally tried it, so I don't know
I think the maximum
what the max is.
I think the maximum is 30. I don't remember. I haven't used it yet, so I can't really talk too much about it. But it seems, generally speaking, that most people are really happy about it and really on board with it.
I got confirmation it's 30.
Yeah, okay. Some people are a little irked, but I think they're the minority. I think most people are pretty hype about it. So yeah, that's nice. Good change. Very good change. Alright, well, I guess that's it, unless there's anything else to talk about. Did we forget anything?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think that was pretty much everything.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else that I remember that we didn't already tap onto, so I'm trying to think.
Yeah. Alright,
Yeah,
so
nothing on the notes.
let me pull up the comments from the last episode. Let's see here. First, guess I gotta put this on screen now, don't I? I have not gone through these comments, so there might be some no good ones in here.
I didn't really see anything that was negative, but that was a couple days ago.
Trying to get it. Trying to get it in between my shit here. That's good enough. Alright, I'll scroll all the way to the bottom. I haven't done this in a while, so excuse me. Okay, Battle Hot Dog says, OMG, it's a fellow tamer. I thought they died out. Fun fact, if you put a jump set on your tamer, Helling is actually fast as fuck. Doesn't run out of stamina that fast when you jump spam while riding. Also desyncs like crazy, so you can't get hit. That is a fun fact. Ali Speed says, nice, do more of these guest episodes. Would love to see one with a Lon or a Valk. Yeah, we're gonna try and be better about having guests on.
Yeah, we need to get back into the routine.
We did it pretty consistently, and then we kind of stopped. We started slacking, and
well, there was like a whole bunch of like series of major changes that were happening, so it just like became basically, in our view, like impossible to actually like have a guest on and talk about anything related to the guests. There was just too much honestly going on in the game.
Styrofoam Rock says, I was personally hoping for more of a mermaid-themed awakening with more water magic and dream wells. A Corsair's mermaid armor / form would have made an awesome succession outfit. Hopefully we'll get it eventually. That'd be neat. I doubt it, but that would be neat. I was also kind of hoping for them to go in like the more magic direction. If they weren't going to go with like a deep sea type thing, which they didn't, I was kind of hoping they would go with the more magical thing too, but oh well, we'll see. I think the anchor is funny and pretty dope. Miss Gould says, I like otters, but these ones in the game are horrifying. If they're part of Awakening kit, do they just materialize out of nowhere? Yes, they do. Then go poof like Striker clones? Yes, they do. Would look too weird. Yes, it does. I agree. I don't know why they're just like suddenly appearing out of thin air. It's fucking crazy.
Yes, they do. And yes, it does.
Yeah. Tristan Crow says, looks like I guess right on the weapon. Just hope it isn't as bad as Succession. Also, please replace Reslar with Kerr. He dope as fuck. I agree. First name says, that was one of the weirdest suggestions on how to improve Tamer on large scale. Most people would say larger AoE on your main damage scale, more protected damage, but being able to ride the dog into battle does seem like it would be really fun. See,
It's
look at
funny. It's funny that they make comments about you and whatnot, but here I am, like zoning out when I'm like dueling or something, and I just totally lose my place with what you're on topic.
that. Yeah, I mean, but that's, you do that every episode, so that's
true. That's true. I'm consistent. That's the thing. It's all about consistency.
Juan Dima Sheik. Sorry, I probably fucked that name up into oblivion. Says, in SEA server, the T1 guilds here are already planning to go to Siege together when the Cap Siege is online. The Papega Horde is coming. As for the case of Sage and Suck Wiz Witch, I think Suck Wiz Witch is more busted because of their range. Basically, if you want to rush them, they can damage/kill you on their way there, or they can just TP away. In the case of Sage, they need to come near to deal damage, so you can at least pressure/catch the Sage with more people. And I would agree with that sentiment. It's also like Witch Wiz has way more utility than Sage as well, right? They have the heals, they have speed spell, they have PA, they have magical shield. They have a lot of. It's not just the damage; it's also the utility, and Sage doesn't have that stuff. Lee MMO says, vote for Kerr to intern at Value Pack. He needs a place to talk about BDO more after majority of nerds and words quit BDO KEKW. Anywho, dope podcasts. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Have they?
Also,
I mean. Yeah, did Tim quit?
I think Tim is also done playing. Yeah, I don't think he made.
Really?
I don't think he ever made like a official announcement or anything. But I think he just kind of stopped.
Yeah, I thought it was
playing.
just Moreland, but
yeah, I think he's
Tim
just
did quit. Wow. So
Yeah.
wait, what is he doing now?
he plays other games, dude. He's gonna be top New World streamer.
Oh, he's going. That's right. He is going to New World. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
they got a guild over there, dog. Also, New World got delayed. KEKW.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of glad they did, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: it needs to be delayed even more than it already is delayed, because I still don't think it's ready to launch. In all honesty, but
I mean, I
take
think
what we
it's
can get.
enough time to get the major issues out of the way. I think that's what's important.
Yeah. Soloit says, just kind of spitballing here, they mentioned revamping old grind spots. What if we combine old sets, parentheses, all 4 Lost Armor, all 4 Train accessories, all 4 Asula accessories, into a raw silver item for new players to actually experience the grind spots rather than skipping them. New player would actually grind Catfish, Helms, and even some Valencia spots with weakened Asula drops. Just balance the silver so it doesn't outperform high-end spots. Also doesn't feel like a waste of time. Could adjust the... Could also adjust drop, and then it has ... like they have typed more, but I can't show more, so I don't know what to do about that. There is no read more button, so either I'm being trolled or YouTube bugged out. I'm not sure which is the case. Serum says, I don't really see why you guys had to talk so much shit about Naishi after he left. You seem to do it plenty when he's here. Kind of a dick move. And then a thumbs down emoji.
Wait, you guys talk shit about me when I left?
No. And that's what's really confusing. I literally went back and listened. I went back and listened to the show after, like, I read that comment, because I was like, did we talk shit about Naishi? And, like, I don't think we even mentioned you after you left. Like, the only time we said
that's probably the shit talk, you know?
The only time we said your name was when we talked about your Twitch stream at the end. I'm pretty sure that's the only time we mentioned you after you left. So, like, I am very confused.
That's pretty funny. Maybe they're just trolling and they wanted to get read on the podcast and make it awkward.
Yeah, I don't know. I am very confused. House of Mana says, really like this Kerr guy. His energy is great. Insights are valuable and based on experience. If it wasn't so much harder to make a 4-panel podcast than 3 people, I would vote for Kerr to join full time if they wanted. I agree. He did. He was a really good guest. He's one of my favorite guests that we've had on, honestly. Really cool
Yeah,
guy, really
definitely.
insightful, really creative answers to certain problems like the horse tamer thing.
Yeah.
Really liked him. Very awesome guess. Um, Svarnir Trun, I probably fucked that one up too. My apologies. So you're telling me the annoying otters are supposed to be funny. I fully agree on the dungeon thing. Give it to everybody blind. Had some great fun on Guild Wars 2 competing for first kills on big world bosses. At the mansion gives me all my buffs in one place. Tent, church, 10% crit, house, etc. I'll pay 50 CP and 1 bill a year, no complaints. If not, it's useless to me even at 5 CP. The full tongue grads would also make evasion a BSR counter. I like it. Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything that this guy said. Any thoughts, Nashi, about any of that? Especially since you're a mansion connoisseur.
I mean, I'm not gonna go out and get a mansion probably unless there's some like benefit to it for PvP. But I just thought it was cool, man. That's it. I just thought it was cool.
All right. You filthy
That's all I got. I really don't have any
filthy,
other comments.
disgusting fucking RPer. Ezra EB says, I feel like Frosty compares Awaken Nova to Awaken Sage a little too much. Not gonna lie, Nova is not weak in any sense, but Sage just leaps and bounds over her in every aspect. Her grab is a 15-second cooldown. That's a projectile. Honestly, it's range, but the most balanced in the game besides Wizards. Lamau Sage is best class by far in the game right now. They just aren't comparable when Ninja is better 1v1 in large scale than Nova anyways. Yeah, I mean, I think comparing Awaken Nova to Awaken Sage is a little silly because Awaken Sage is just that strong, but I do think Awaken Nova is extremely powerful right now.
Really, really fucking strong.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I would have much of an argument if you told me that Awaken Nova is the second strongest class in the game. Now that's leaps and bounds underneath where Awaken Sage is at right now. But like, it's really strong. It's really, really strong right now. So yeah, but I do agree that comparing any class to Sage is kind of silly.
Yeah, but still.
Corin Naoka says, or Corinne. I knew someone named Corinne once. Maybe that's Corinne. Have Cron more often. It was chill to listen to you guys discuss things. Also, I'm really hoping the reworks actually, full caps, help the struggling classes and don't make already strong classes more overtuned. Example, Awaken Warrior, Awakening Lawn. Changes I hope they make, at least for the classes I enjoy playing. Maywa movement is kind of outdated. Not giving her a grab was valid until they added Awakening Nova to the game. Her stamina needs desperate help, and if not a grab, have certain skills do percentage block damage. Ranger, honestly, I'm just going to hope they listen to Flannels. Lamau, I do hope they give Suck Ranger some help in 1v1s, even if it's just a little bit. Kuno, please, ... better PvE. Better kunai skills would be nice. Something like Malice would be dope. Kuno step win, and more protected damage, please. It's sad when I CC 3 to 5 people, but can't do anything since everything is unprotected, or I don't do shit for damage with Awakening. Something I do wish they do for Lawn is to remove the ranged grab, make it a normal grab, and give them other skills they can use to catch people, because right now she's literally a grab bot. Fly away until grab is up again. It would get rid of the, quote, you only run till your grab is up, you're not good type of mentality. Lastly, I hope they make Corsair good, because as she is now, she's terrible.
That was a lot. But
That was a lot.
I agree with a fair amount of that, yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I agree with the lawn sentiment. I do think that the grab is a little nutty and probably should be tuned down, but good lawns, they are not just grab bots. Now, it's easy to fight grab bots because those are bad lawns. But like when you fight a good lawn, it is not a grab bot.
Some matchups, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like in some matchups, it's just the safest way. I mean, you got to understand, like, as much as I personally hate it myself, and I'll probably bitch about it on stream when I'm fighting one, but I mean, it's hard to blame them for playing safe, you know? Like, you got to play your kit how it's designed to, and if you want to play to win, then you play to win. You know, it just is what it is. So,
what are your thoughts on their opinion on Maywa? Movement outdated, not giving her grab was valid till they added Awakening Nova. Stamina needs help. If not a grab, have certain skills do percentage block damage. I think I would agree with that.
Yeah, overall I agree with that. I don't like the idea of getting a grab.
No, I don't like that either. But percentage block damage.
The percentage block damage is really solid. I think the movement skills definitely need to be updated. There's a variety of different opinions on how to go about it, but
all the classes that don't have grabs that struggle against SA block classes, they just need to give them some sort of modifier on their skills to do damage to block. And
Yeah.
I don't think the way you do it is how you implement it on Corsair. I think that was a mistake, in all honesty. I think what you do is on all the skills that they have, on all the skills that Maywell has, a percentage of the damage is like increased on their block, essentially. So it'll do bonus damage. So if you use a skill on a person just standing there, it'll do like 1,000 damage. But if you use it on their block, then it does like 1,250 damage, for example.
Yeah.
Like that's what they need to do.
I was fighting Amertet's Corsair. He wanted to practice since he learned some new movement. Well, actually, they did more skill connections. We haven't fought since they changed it. But yeah, I basically didn't have a block for most of those fights. It was pretty insane. So I definitely don't like how they did Corsairs. I would like a lesser form of that to make it like reasonable and fair.
Yeah.
So
Tamahomi says, awesome content as always. Love to listen to your podcast while grinding. And yeah, I agree to the graphics kind of matter in a game. What's the point of upgrading your PC? FPS, dog. You got to get that 275 FPS like Sphero and all the other warriors.
yeah.
I
I mean, there's something to be said about clean frames.
Yeah. Moonman93 says at 1:16:10, yes, there was indeed a shitty movie titled Zoom with Tim Allen. Fun fact, you're able to access your tent after it's already down without pressing R by clicking the tent icon in your UI. Also, Kerr was my favorite guest so far. Please invite him back in the future. Yeah, that's how I've always done it, is by clicking the icon. That's still the way I do it, just out of habit. But now you
really?
can just... Yeah. How did you do it?
Hold on.
Did you actually go sit down in the tent to use your tent?
No, I never sat down. I would just go up to it and
press F5. No, you could just click the tent icon at the top left.
This is like one of those scenarios when you get up to the pin pad and when you know your code, but you just can't type it in for some reason. So hold on. Hold on. I gotta go to a spot, throw down my tent, and see how the fuck I do this. Just give me a moment here. Maybe a moment.
Alright, I gotta pull up your stream now. Alright, we're watching Nyashi's stream as he discovers that you can just fucking press the tent icon at the top left of your screen.
I think I did just do, yeah, I did the tent icon. I don't, for some reason it just wasn't clicking that's what I was doing. Yeah.
What?
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't do the R thing. Yeah, I just go up and yeah, I just do this. Okay. Woo! Jesus. I don't know why. I had a moment there. I'm like, wait, how do I do that? I just do it instinctively at this point, I don't even think about it, so yeah.
Oh my god. Nashi, you're a fucking character, bro.
Hey, that's what I'm here for,
Yeah, dude, Convection, I agree. Busted movement, nerf that shit, bro. What the hell? No,
wait,
I
what?
agree.
My movement to go.
Yeah, dude, that shit needs a nerf, bro. That was crazy.
Yeah, and then you see, of course, fucking Nova just literally.
It's
3
balanced.
times further.
Mr. Spectacular 37 says that Corsair outfit is straight up donkey and then a poop emoji. I rather have on Dim Tree than that Awakening thought outfit. Lol, you guys are awesome as always. Appreciate it. Also, yeah, that outfit not super good. I absolutely love. I was gonna say it, but then I was like, is that offensive? I love that Kerr was like, why does she look like she's going to a quinceañera? I was like, dude, I literally thought the exact same thing when I saw that. Then I was like, I've never been to a quinceañera. I don't know if that's actually what it looks like. I don't know if that's offensive or something. I love that he pointed that out. So accurate. So fucking accurate. Gerdavsko? Dergavzo S? Probably mispronouncing that. With Elvia, we now have accessories of all types. What's next? More accessories like distortions. That'd be cool if they added other stuff like that.
Seasons?
No, he's talking about like just in general. Like we have accessories for every stat now, so what are they going to add next? And
That's actually a pretty good question.
His question is accessories like disto, so like, you get a lot of one stat, but then it takes a little bit of this other stat away, right? So like Maybe you have some belt that gives you an insane amount of DP, but it takes away like 5 AP or something like that.
Yeah, I can see something like that happening. We had discussions, I think, on that.
I think we
same
did.
topic a while ago. Yeah.
A long time ago, yeah. Daz says there's no benefit on limiting the turn-ins on the server for Imperial trading. I can kind of see when they were going for, what they were going for, making it a limited resource so there could be situations where certain towns could draw people in because the turn-ins are less contested compared to the busier areas. But the amount of turn-ins people are doing are increasing more and more, with people getting higher CPs and higher levels, especially after the Manos items made the limit horribly outdated. Also, for the love of God, let us turn them in while tagged for us losers who do everything on our mains. Still, the promise changes are definitely very nice. They just need to go through them and not leaving them as empty promises. Feels like WoW bleeding out. PA is definitely tasting the blood in the water. I think everybody is. Also, yeah, empty promises is a real problem for this company, and we need to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Scintilla Soul says, I really wish Kerr was on this podcast rather than the other big one. He fits you guys so well. I feel like this podcast, he is allowed to talk about BDO, while the other one is just filled with toxicity when he tries to talk about it. Yeah, he was a good guest. Really good guest. Really cool guy. And, yeah, we'll definitely have him on in the future. I can say that for sure. I mean, probably not as a mainstay character, because I think being a main person in 2 different podcasts is probably both time consuming and like probably conflict of interest, or not conflict of interest, but like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We're not looking to poach.
Yeah,
another
and
podcast.
I made jokes last episode, but I don't actually want to like get Kerr to quit Nerds with Words, because
that would be
he's such an integral part of their show. Like,
Yeah.
he's a big part of why that show is so good. I watch that show pretty frequently, and he's a big part of why I enjoy that show so much. So I wouldn't want to take him away from that show. The Moosassin says, I don't want no Mercy Pot, please. I already did the time and got both Infinites. If they're going to introduce that, then everyone that grinded out regular Infinity should get 10 Combat and Life Shagatu boxes each, plus some other goodies for making my time grinding the regular Infinite pots worthless. No.
I don't necessarily agree with that at all. But
Shane,
I don't necessarily think they should really make them like super easy in comparison to how they are.
No. I don't think so either. I mean, I talked about it at length last week, but just it can even be some like really insane number, like 500 hours for one like Mercy piece, and like that's fine, because at least it is progress. It would go a very long way towards
That's a
mental.
lot of hours.
And I promise you, Moosassin, that you did not grind 500 hours for a single piece on your Infinite Pot. That did not happen. I can.
You did
promise
grind
you
a
that.
decent amount, but not that much.
Shane N says, hey guys, long time listener here. Not sure why everyone is always complaining about the dungeon. I think the rewards are pretty good. My friends and I ran it this weekend for the first time, and it was one hell of a ... experience. One of my buddies managed to make a really quick quote-unquote guide of our journey. I promise it's worth the watch, lol. And then YouTube's doing this thing again where it says ... like there's read more, but I don't have a read more option. So
Yeah, actually, I've been noticing that too.
I think there's a bug with YouTube right now.
Either that, or maybe put an enter, like, try to make a new sentence, or maybe you had spaces or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry if there's more after these ... that I can't do anything about. Sorry. Rarangi EE, I guess is how I say that. Kerr fits so perfectly in the podcast. Make him official. I like how me and you both talked about how we didn't really say shit last episode. And this is also the episode that everyone's like, wow, Kerr fit in so well. Because it was basically just the Kerr and Frosty show.
But maybe that's what's secretly happening.
Yeah, I think that's really what people enjoyed about last episode, is me and you didn't say hardly anything, and it was basically just the Kerr and Frosty show. Which, you know what? Fair in all honesty.
I'll give it to him.
Desynced says swap Curran for the Maywa. That way there are 2 sane and sensible players and only 1 Alex Jones. Get that often Tet user out of here.
Wait, what? I'm not even off in Tet anymore. I haven't been off in Tet for since February.
Yeah, but that's like, you know, if you murder like a bunch of people and then you get out of jail like 20 years later, it's like, oh no, I murdered those people 20 years ago. It's like you still murdered those people though, you know? It's like the same idea, I think.
But I got good behavior.
Those are definitely comparable things. Jonathan Winter says, sorry, Potion Shop, parentheses, Nerds and Words podcast. I have found my new podcast and I love it. Thank you guys for taking the time to do this. Glad you enjoy it, brother. Ziegel says, Kerr is such a great guest. Always enjoyed his YouTube guides and really enjoyed him as a guest on this podcast. 3.5 hours went by so fast. By the way, have you considered bringing guests from other regions to get insight on the scene in that said region? Time zone would ... And I can't click on it. I'm going to refresh. I'm going to refresh the page and see if that fixes it. I'm going to refresh real quick. Let's see if that fixes it. If it doesn't fix it, then there's nothing I could really do about it. Hey, I can click read more. Time zone would be a huge hindrance, though. Yeah, that's usually the main problem with having guests on from other regions. We've had on a couple EU guests, as well as Blue, who, if I remember correctly, lives in Korea.
Yeah, he's in the States now, I think.
But I think at the time he was living in Korea.
Yeah, probably at the time that.
If I remember correctly, at the time he was living in Korea, which that was a big deal. Okay, so this guy that's the link to the video. I think I read that one. I read that one too. Why did some of them work, but then others of them did not? I don't remember which ones didn't work. Anyway, so yeah, that's the comments. Any closing thoughts, Nyashi?
Not really. I mean, I think overall, fun podcast and a lot of nifty things that happened.
Yeah, very, very quick. We're under 2 hours right now.
Are we really?
Yeah. We're under 2 hours.
No,
so.
I mean that's what happens when you don't have like a third to interject with their own ideas.
Yeah, when you don't when you don't have a white knight here to argue on every little point, this show goes by real quick.
True.
Yeah. So
I was like thinking about playing Devil's Advocate on the new skill and whatnot for Node Wars but just like I don't know.
Do it.
Yeah, but
we got time.
I don't know. I guess overall I more or less said what I wanted to say about it. Like I see the appeal for it, giving weaker guilds an opportunity to like basically steamroll over a bigger guild in an actual fight scenario. So it gives them that like enjoyment factor. So they're not just sitting there just getting pummeled for fucking however long until their fort dies, right? But I mean, that's the best I got. Like that's the only thing. Like there's just there's the rest about the skill is just not really. It just needs to be nerfed a little bit. It needs to be balanced out. And then, like you said, I like the idea of adding more skill options, so it's not just like a one-trick pony kind of thing. It's just the new PA, and that's just the fact of the matter. So,
yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it. We're coming in at a crisp 2 hours. Knocked that out real fast. Yeah, I don't know. Check out our Twitch streams. Frosty's, who unfortunately couldn't join us today. Twitch.tv/SoFrosty. Mine is Twitch.tv/NotReslar. And Nyashi's is Twitch.tv/Nyashi_NA. Make sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you thought on the video. We read comments every week. Shout out to the patrons and the Twitch subscribers. We appreciate everybody who supports us. You guys are the ones that keep us going. So thank you for your support on the show, and we'll see y'all next week.